Walking doesn't start burning fat when you start moving. Not when your legs warm up, not when your heart rate goes up, and definitely not when you start sweating. There is a very specific moment when your body decides it's allowed to burn fat, and almost everyone stops walking right before that moment happens. Here's the uncomfortable truth. For the first part of your walk, your body is not trying to lose fat at all. It's trying to protect it. Your body doesn't see walking as exercise. It sees it as uncertainty. So, before it touches stored fat, the resource it values the most, it runs through a silent checklist. Are you safe? Is this stress temporary? Is more effort coming? Do you need this fat later? Until those questions are answered, fat stays locked away. That's why walking often feels useless at first. There's no burn, no rush, and no clear signal that anything important is happening. But inside your body, something is building. Hormones are shifting, fuel priorities are being reassessed, and a quiet internal switch is slowly moving closer to flipping. And then, without warning, it happens. Not dramatically, not painfully. You don't feel it. But in that exact moment, your body stops defending fat and starts releasing it. This moment isn't about speed. It's not about distance. And it's not the same for everyone. It depends on signals, not effort. And once you understand those signals, walking changes completely. It stops being too easy. It stops feeling pointless. And it starts doing exactly what it was always capable of doing. Most people never reach this moment, not because walking doesn't work, but because they quit seconds before their body gives permission. In this video, you'll learn what your body is doing before fat burning begins, what actually triggers the release of stored fat, and why the simplest form of movement is one of the most misunderstood. Because fat loss doesn't start when you push harder. It starts when your body feels safe enough to let go. And that's exactly where most people get it wrong. They try to force a process that only responds to signals. Most people think fat burning is about effort. Walk faster, push harder, get your heart rate up, stay in the so-called fat-burning zone. It sounds scientific, it looks precise, and it's mostly wrong. Because your body doesn't burn fat because of how hard you move. It burns fat because of what fuel it chooses to use. And at the beginning of a walk, fat is not the first choice. When you start walking, your body reaches for the fastest, safest energy available. That means glucose, sugar already circulating in your blood. And when that's not enough, it taps into glycogen, stored sugar in your muscles and liver. Fat is different. Fat is slow. Fat requires oxygen. Fat requires preparation. Most importantly, fat requires permission. So when people say, "I walked for 15 minutes and nothing happened," they're often right. Nothing visible did happen. Not because walking doesn't work, but because the body was still handling immediate energy needs. This is where the calorie myth causes real damage. Calories make fat loss seem mechanical. Move more, burn more, lose more. But your body isn't a calculator, it's a survival system. It doesn't ask, how many calories are we burning? It asks, what fuel do we need right now to stay alive? And at the start of a walk, the answer is almost never fat. That's why sweating means nothing. That's why soreness means nothing. That's why heart rate alone means nothing. You can walk fast and still burn mostly sugar. You can feel tired and still not touch fat. Because fat loss isn't triggered by discomfort, it's triggered by internal conditions. This is also where the fat-burning zone confuses people. The idea suggests there's a magical heart rate where fat suddenly turns on. Below it, no fat. Above it, wrong fuel. But your body doesn't flip switches based on charts. It flips them based on hormones, fuel availability, stress signals, and perceived safety. Two people can walk at the same pace, same heart rate, same duration, and burn completely different fuels. Same walk, different biology. And here's the part no one tells you. In the early phase of walking, your body is actively holding on to fat, not passively ignoring it, actively protecting it. From an evolutionary perspective, stored fat is insurance. It's survival during famine. It's warmth. It's backup energy. Your body will not spend that insurance lightly. So, before fat burning begins, your body needs proof. Proof that this movement is not an emergency. Proof that stress levels are manageable. Proof that energy demand is predictable. Proof that there is no immediate threat. Until then, it sticks with fast fuel. That's why short walks often feel pointless. That's why people say walking is too easy. And that's why so many give up. They confuse preparation with failure. What they don't see is that walking has phases. And the first phase was never meant to burn fat. It was meant to test the environment. Once that test is passed, once the body decides this movement is safe, repeatable, and non-threatening, something changes, quietly, invisibly. Fuel priorities begin to shift. And that's where the exact moment starts to form. By the time you're a few minutes into walking, your body has already made several decisions. You just weren't informed. On the outside, nothing feels different. Your breathing is steady, your muscles feel fine. There's no urgency. But inside, your body is reorganizing itself. The first thing it does is stabilize blood sugar. As you move, muscles begin pulling glucose from the bloodstream, not aggressively, just enough to sustain movement. Your body responds by adjusting insulin levels, trying to maintain balance. At this stage, insulin is still present, and as long as insulin is elevated, fat stays locked. Not because your body hates fat loss, but because insulin is a storage signal. Its job is to protect energy reserves, not release them. At the same time, stress hormones are being monitored. Walking raises adrenaline slightly. Not enough to trigger panic, just enough to signal activity. Your body is asking whether this effort will escalate, whether more intensity is coming, whether it should prepare for danger. As long as that question remains unanswered, your body avoids slow fuels and sticks with what's fast and reliable. This is why fat burning never starts instantly. Instead of burning fat, your body prepares the option. Blood flow gradually improves. Oxygen delivery stabilizes. The machinery required for fat use becomes more available. But none of this creates sensation. There is no nerve that tells you fat oxidation is being prepared. This is the most misunderstood part of walking. People expect feedback, a feeling, proof that something important is happening. But fat loss preparation is silent. Your pace may feel effortless. Your heart rate may barely change. You might even feel bored. And that boredom matters, because boredom means the nervous system is calm. And a calm nervous system is a prerequisite for fat release. Your body does not burn fat in panic mode. It burns fat in controlled, predictable conditions. This is why walking is fundamentally different from high-intensity exercise. Intense workouts create stress first and adaptation later. Walking creates safety first and release later. During this phase, your body is not choosing fat yet, but it's getting closer. Insulin continues to drift downward. Adrenaline stabilizes. Cortisol stays low. Your body senses rhythm. Step after step, no spikes, no surprises. Repetition tells your body this isn't a threat. It's a pattern. And patterns are safe. As this continues, reliance on stored sugar decreases. Not because it's gone, but because it's no longer urgent. Fat stops being backup fuel and becomes an option. At this stage, the switch is armed, not flipped. Most people never realize they're this close. They stop, they check the time, they decide it's not enough. And the body interprets that as confirmation. This was temporary, don't adapt, stay conservative. So the next walk takes longer to reach this point. This is how people unintentionally train their bodies not to burn fat. But if walking continues, if rhythm stays steady, and if stress stays low, the question changes. It's no longer, are we safe? It becomes, what fuel makes sense now? And that single question changes everything. The exact moment walking starts burning fat doesn't feel like anything, That's what makes it so easy to miss. There's no surge of energy, no sudden lightness, no signal from your muscles or lungs. From the outside, nothing changes. But internally, one decision quietly overrides another. Up until now, your body has been conservative. It relied on fast fuels. It kept fat stored, protected, untouched. Now that changes. Not because you walked far enough or fast enough, but because internal conditions finally align. As walking continues at a steady, non-threatening pace, insulin drops low enough to stop blocking fat release. This matters because fat cannot leave storage, while insulin is elevated. It's not inefficient. It's impossible. You don't feel this happen, but your fat cells do. At the same time, your body senses that stored sugar is no longer urgent. Glycogen isn't empty. It's simply no longer prioritized. Your muscles are warm, blood flow is stable, and oxygen delivery is consistent. Your body recognizes something important. You're not sprinting, you're not escaping, and you're not under threat. When there is no threat, efficiency matters more than speed. Fat becomes the logical choice. Not a minute on a clock, not a heart rate zone, but a shift in fuel preference. Your body stops asking, what's the fastest fuel, and starts asking, what's the most sustainable fuel? That question is the switch. When it flips, fat cells release fatty acids into the bloodstream. Mitochondria increase fat use. Muscles begin relying on fat alongside oxygen to sustain movement. All of this happens quietly. No extra sweat. No heavier breathing. No dramatic sensation. That's why people underestimate walking. Fat loss works best when it doesn't demand attention. This moment also explains why two people can walk together and see completely different results. The switch depends on internal state, sleep, stress, recent meals, and metabolic history. A calm, rested body reaches this moment sooner. A stressed, underslept body may take much longer. And this moment is fragile. Sudden intensity, rising stress, or erratic breathing can reverse the decision. The body returns to sugar, back to fast fuel, back to protection. That's why aggressive pacing often backfires. Walking burns fat, not because it's intense, but because it's convincing. Convincing your body that movement is safe, that demand is predictable, and that releasing fat won't be punished later. Once that trust is built, fat becomes available. And the longer you stay in that state, the easier it becomes to reach it next time. Your body learns. This is allowed. Walking isn't a beginner tool. It's a metabolic skill. And like any skill, it improves with repetition. Once you understand this moment, the real question isn't why walking works. It's why so many people never reach it. Most people don't fail at walking. They quit at the worst possible moment. Not because they're lazy, not because walking doesn't work, but because everything they've been taught tells them to stop. Walking doesn't feel like exercise. There's no struggle, no adrenaline, no sense of earning the effort. So people assume nothing is happening. They equate progress with discomfort. No burn means no result. No sweat means no fat loss. But boredom isn't a flaw. It's a signal. It means the nervous system is calm. And fat burning doesn't happen in chaos. Then there's impatience. People stop when they feel warm, when their legs wake up, or when it feels long enough. All of that happens before fat burning begins. From the body's perspective, this sends a clear message. This was temporary. Don't adapt. So the switch is delayed next time. There's also pace confusion. When walking feels easy, people speed up to feel productive. But early intensity raises stress, and stress demands sugar. Fat release pauses. This doesn't mean faster walking is bad. It means timing matters. Metrics also get in the way. People chase steps, calories, and heart rate zones. They stop when the watch says they're done, not when the body is ready. And finally, there's mental noise, phones, notifications, internal pressure. You can move slowly and still be hormonally stressed. And a stressed body does not release fat. That's why walking in silence often works better than expected. not because silence burns fat, but because calm removes resistance. Here's the irony. Most people stop walking right when their body is about to change strategy. They go home feeling productive, and the switch never flips. Walking didn't fail them. They stopped too early. Every time this happens, the body learns a lesson. Movement is brief, stay guarded. But the opposite is also true. Every time you stay just a little longer, the body learns something else. This is safe. This fuel can be used. And the exact moment arrives sooner next time. This isn't about willpower. It's about timing. The goal isn't to force fat burning. The goal is to remove the reasons your body delays it. Your body already knows how to burn fat. It just needs the right conditions. Predictability comes first. A steady pace, no sudden changes, a rhythm you could maintain without planning to stop. That tells your body this isn't temporary. Low stress comes next. Fat release and high stress are hormonally incompatible. If your walk feels rushed or pressured, your body treats it like a threat. Insulin timing matters too. Walking works best when insulin isn't elevated, before a large meal or long enough after eating for insulin to come down. This doesn't make fat loss magical. It just removes a chemical block. Repetition matters more than intensity. The body learns from patterns. Many similar walks teach safety faster than occasional hard efforts. Patience at the start is essential. Every walk begins the same way. Sugar first, preparation second, release last. Trying to rush that process only resets it. Breathing and posture matter more than people think. Calm breathing tells the nervous system there is no emergency. If breathing becomes strained, the signal shifts back toward urgency. And finally, understand this. The moment doesn't arrive because you deserve it. It arrives because your body trusts the situation. Trust is built through consistency, not intensity. When walking becomes a familiar signal of safety, fat loss stops being a fight and becomes the default. The counterintuitive truth is that the easier walking feels, the more likely fat burning has already started. Not because easy burns more calories, but because easy removes resistance. That's why people often say, walking suddenly started working. They didn't change effort, they changed signals. Walking is often dismissed as too gentle to matter. It doesn't exhaust you. It doesn't feel heroic. So it gets labeled as beginner exercise. But walking isn't weak. It's precise. Most fat loss methods rely on stress. They force adaptation. That can work briefly, but stress-based fat loss has a cost. Walking lowers the barriers to fat access instead of forcing it. It keeps cortisol low, stabilizes blood sugar, improves insulin sensitivity over time, and can be repeated day after day without burnout. Fat loss is cumulative. Walking gives you repeated access to stored energy. It also respects the nervous system. When the nervous system feels safe, the body is willing to let go. That's why walking works especially well for people who are stressed, underslept, or stuck. Walking doesn't fight the body. It cooperates with it. And walking doesn't just burn fat during the walk. It improves your body's willingness to burn fat later. Over time, fat becomes easier to access, not harder. Not because walking is more intense, but because it's more intelligent. Walking is powerful, but it's not magic. It doesn't override biology. It works with it. If sleep is poor, stress is high, or insulin never comes down, the moment still exists. But it takes longer. That's not failure. It's information. Walking reveals the state of your signals. It won't override poor nutrition, and it won't replace resistance training. Think of walking as the foundation. It stabilizes, it prepares. On top of that foundation, other tools work better. Walking isn't a shortcut. It's a signal corrector. And once that lesson is learned, progress unlocks. Quietly. Walking was never about burning calories. That's the smallest part of the story. It's about teaching your body something it has forgotten. that movement doesn't always mean danger, and that energy can be released safely. Fat loss doesn't fail because people don't move enough. It fails because the body never feels safe enough to let go. Walking changes that. Not instantly, not dramatically, but reliably. The exact moment walking starts burning fat isn't something you chase. It's a decision your body makes when conditions finally make sense. And once you understand that, you stop guessing and forcing. You start working with your biology, not against it. If this changed how you see something as simple as walking, there's a lot more your body is doing that you don't feel yet. That's what this channel is about. Understanding what happens before results. If you want clarity rather than hacks, subscribe, because progress starts with understanding.